everybody, Brett here, and we're doing something a little bit different in Torque today. We're going to do a cooking segment, and the cooking segment it's going to be pretty cool, I think. This is a recipe that I make 3, 4, sometimes 5 days a week. I actually had this last night for dinner. There are no rules at our household, so breakfast for dinner is always a good option. I know I love breakfast for dinner, but today we're making anabolic French toast, and the word anabolic really comes from the higher protein content, and we're also cutting the sugar content down. So where I get most of my recipes, I don't make these up. Where I get them is I get them from a couple of sites. I use Remington James Fitness, which is a great place to go to. He has a YouTube channel. You can get the recipes there, or you can buy his cookbook. Also, Greg Duché has a great YouTube channel and a great cookbook. And also, I log everything, and it's really important to log everything in MyFitnessPal, and I use a food scale. So I'll show you how to use the food scale in a second. So the anabolic French toast is great. And why I started cooking these kinds of foods, at one point, about several months ago, I just said, hey, I like donuts, I like ice cream. I started thinking about my cheats. I love French toast, but I can't eat it because it doesn't fit my diet. There's too many calories in it. So I started looking for alternatives online, healthy alternatives, and that's where I found these eating plans. They're really not a diet, it's an eating plan. This is something I can sustain for years and years and years and never get off of it. So where a lot of people do keto, paleo, if you do those kind of diets, ask yourself one thing: are you going to do this for 10 years down the road? And if your answer is yes, great, stick with it. It'll work for you, great. But a lot of folks, especially with keto, a lot of folks that I know do keto, it's a hard one to maintain. And if you get off of that diet, I've seen multiple employees that I know here personally, when they get off of it, they gain their weight back and they gain more weight than they were when they started. So you want to find something that's sustainable, something you can do long term. All right, we're going to show you the ingredients for this anabolic French toast. Pretty simple stuff. I've got some liquid egg whites, which you can get. I get great value because I'm a cheap person, so you can get the expensive brands if you want, but honestly, liquid egg whites. Now, liquid egg whites by themselves are absolutely horrible, but in recipes, they're essential. I mean, it's basically a fat-free food. It's 25 calories per serving, and it's full of protein. Any protein powder that works for you. I use a whey protein. This is not my normal brand, but this is what I have on me today. Different flavors work really good. You can use chocolate. This is a vanilla cream. Whatever you want your French toast to taste like. This recipe calls for white bread, although today I'm using 45 calorie bread, which saves you quite a bit on calories. So a lot lower in calories. Also, you'll get more slices out of this with your mixture because it's thinner, and you're gonna absorb up all that protein into the bread. Also use a sugar-free substitute. I like stevia. Stevia comes from a plant, so it's more of a natural sugar. This is a great substitute. I normally do great value, but this is what I had at my house. A little bit of cinnamon and sugar-free syrup. Syrup is what kills you at most restaurants. And just for comparison, this recipe has 468 calories if you eat the entire thing, which I still am yet to do. I still can't do it, and I've got a big appetite. If you go to IHOP and get their traditional French toast, 740 calories. So 740 calories at IHOP are probably what you're normally making at home versus 468. And mine's going to be a little bit less, probably about 75 to 80 calories less because of my bread. Okay, I've got my handy dandy food scale, which this food scale you can get on Amazon for about $13. I think you can get them less, but this is the Ozeri food scale, which I like a lot. The important thing on a food scale is you always want to start with 0 when you're adding ingredients. So I've got 0 grams, and I use grams on this recipe. The first ingredient is going to be my liquid egg whites, so I'm going to add 230 grams of liquid egg whites and pour them slow because they go kind of quick. And if you're a hair off, it's okay, but don't be way off. There's 229 grams. That works great for me. All right, so you can see we've got 229 grams. My next ingredient is going to be the whey protein powder. So I'm going to 0 out my scale. That way I'm starting fresh. It's like there's nothing on there. And I'm going to put, if I can do this, 32 grams of protein in here now. See how close I can get. I usually screw this up pretty good, but I'm not doing too bad today. A little bit more. I'm going to get this exact. I'm accounting for this, so I want it to be accurate. Let's do 1 more gram. Let's get all that protein that we can get in there. Almost. Golly. See, this is the struggle sometimes. I try to get them. There we go. 32 grams. So there's my protein. I want to 0 this scale out. And I'm going to add in 2 to 4 grams of 0-calorie sweetener. Now the good thing about this is if you go a little bit over, you're probably okay because you're talking about minimal calories. I'm going to go ahead and put 4 in there because I like my stuff a little sweet. I like ice cream. I like everything sweet. There's 5 grams. Hey, that's even better. Okay, so I've zeroed out my scale after I've got the protein powder and the sugar and the egg whites in. Now I'm going to put a little bit of cinnamon. Cinnamon is just going to make the, you know how they make French toast taste really good. So 1 to 4 grams of cinnamon. So on my zeroed out food scale, we're going to put a boatload in there. There's 4. So we got that in there now. So really that's my ingredients for my my bread to dip into. So now we're going to blend it. So any blender will work. You can hand stir this if you want, but what you'll find a lot with some of these protein powders is they don't really blend into the egg whites really well. So you're going to have big, clumpy, gelatinous looking gross things to dip your toast in. So I've just started always using my blender. So I've got my little blender here. That ought to be shredded up pretty good. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to pour this mixture into a bowl so I can dip my toast into that. And it'll look like a lot of liquid, but your toast will soak that up. Your bread will soak that up. And that's kind of the goal. You want that bread really saturated with the egg mixture. And before I start cooking, what I want to do is make sure to spray my skillet. If you haven't done this already, spray it with some non-stick cooking spray so nothing sticks. And then we're going to get our bread. We're going to dip that sucker down in there and let it really soak it up. I mean, it's going to feel heavy and it might even break on you. It's going to be so saturated with this stuff. And then we'll toss that on the old skillet. Now you can use a skillet. You can use a George Foreman grill. A lot of our drivers I know use Foreman grills or hot plates, whatever you're using out there. It'll all work really well. This is not rocket science because I'm doing it. And I'm not the most skilled cook in the kitchen. Although I did grow up cooking a lot, so my mom taught me pretty early how to cook, which is important. So if you're not showing your kids how to cook, you better start doing it because they're going to be in trouble. And with this recipe, normally with white bread, since it's a little thicker, I can normally get about 4 slices. This, I can get 5, maybe 6. So we've almost got it already all saturated up. I might be able to get 1 more, and I barely got any liquid in here, so this last one's not going to be all that great, but we're going to go ahead and use up our space on our skillet. White bread, it probably would have been completely filled in 4 slices. So now we're cooking. So we're going to let that cook. We're going to let it brown really well on that side, and then we'll flip it over and let it cook for a little bit longer. And there we have it. So I've got 3 slices of French toast. I've cut it nice and pretty for everybody to see, but it's you'll notice when you pull this toast off, it's a lot heavier than normal French toast because you've saturated it with all that liquid, that protein. I've measured out about 80 grams of the sugar-free syrup. Now, to be real honest, this syrup is only 10 calories per serving, so it's extremely low in calories, so feel free to indulge in the syrup a little bit. And I'm just going to drizzle the syrup all over this. And good stuff. So very low in calories, so 468 calories, not for this, but for all the toast that I made, which I put some in a Tupperware container. 4 grams of fat, 58 grams of protein, 50 grams of carbohydrates, and 3 grams of fiber. So compare that to the IHOP again with over almost 800 calories for the serving, and probably not near as good, honestly. This surprised me with the first time I cooked it, how good it tastes with the vanilla protein powder kind of infused in the bread. So really good. One other thing I want to touch on a food scale, the reason I use a food scale, I've used my food scale for years. I've got one at home, now I have one at work, is if you're inputting your data into MyFitnessPal and you're trying to lose weight, maintain weight, or gain muscle weight, the only way you're going to be accurate is with a food scale. You've got to weigh your food, especially if you're cooking it. Now, if you're cooking something that's already bought, that's already ready to go, you can just scan the barcodes. But if you're cooking food, and you really do need to learn how to cook if you really are trying to lose weight, if you're really wanting to be accurate, you've got to weigh your foods, weigh the ingredients, make sure you're getting the right amounts. Because I know when I key this in today in my MyFitnessPal account, it's going to be 100% accurate. Most people underestimate their calories every day by about 1,000. So, and then we wonder why we have such a weight problem in the country. So calories in versus calories out. I don't care what your dietitian's told you. You've got to burn more calories than you put in your mouth and you'll lose weight guaranteed. Hit the gym for a bonus. That's all I got. Thank you guys for watching.